presentations are Bangladesh, Egypt, and Iran. Without further ado, I now invite the moderator, Mr. Youssef Nahaba Hamada, the presenters, Mr. Abdus Salam, Mr. Abdel Monem El Sayed Matar, and Dr. Ali Reza Hanjan to take their places on stage. Mr. Mansour Muhammad Al Mohayya and Mr. Muhammad Aminuddin Musa, please take your places at the spot designated for the rapporteurs. Thank you. Now, in the interest of time and to ensure the smooth running of the conference, please be reminded that the time allocated for this session is 1 hour. The time allocated for this session is 1 hour. The first bell will be rung once, 3 minutes before the time ends, and the bell will be rung twice when time is up. Ladies and gentlemen, I now hand over the session to the moderator.
Assalamu alaikum.
In the beginning, I'd like to thank the organizing committee to selecting me to be the moderator for this session. And because, or due to the importance of this topic in reforming taxes, the concept of reform may consume all of government agencies, but it's so specific to tax administration due to the impact of tax issues on the society in total. In short, the reform may be enforced from outside the country. For example, the International Bank for certain reasons, and sometimes the reform could be due to internal reasons for economic reform. Sometimes the reform is to make some amendments in the structure of tax administration or to create new taxes. We are so happy to have with us one of the really experienced agencies in tax, the first person in tax authorities from Egypt, and Mr. Abdus Salam from Bangladesh, and Mr. Saeed Kamil from Republic of Iran. We start with Mr. Ahmad Abdus Salam from Bangladesh. Please, the floor is yours.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Distinguished the organizer of 13th ATAI conference, technical conference, distinguished participants, observers, and the president. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is a great pleasure for me to present here second time. Thank you ATAI, thank you GOB. Today's presentation is about the communication strategies in Bangladesh tax reform. Me, Muhammad Abdus Salam, Deputy Commissioner of Taxes, National Board of Revenue, Internal Resource Division, Government of Bangladesh, invites you to kind attention in the presentation. I have the presentations contains background, introductions, challenges, salient features of NBR modernization plan, communication strategies in Bangladesh tax reform, current initiatives, future plan recommendations. Background, like Bangladesh is Bangladesh is a developing country. We depend on foreign aid in the past time with foreign aid and foreign loans to implement our budget. Nowadays, the foreign aids and foreign loans are being reduced, so we have to depend on our internal resources. And internal resources is the only sources of fund. So we find it from tax, customs, VAT. So tax, to more collection tax, to increase our revenue, we need our reforms. We need our reforms in tax administrations. Another way, communication strategies have been taken. So the National Board of Revenue is the apex of national tax policy, tax collection, and taxes system administrations agency of government of People's Republic of Bangladesh. NBR is responsible for end-to-end oversight and superintendence over both direct taxes, as well as all indirect taxes. This includes income tax, VAT, and customs. The NBR has recently put in place a major reforms agenda that seeks to push across the broad reforms in the three international tax systems through several concurrent short-term and long-term reform tracks. In addition, we can say, NBR engages in dialogue with different business chambers and other professional bodies in budgeting formulation process to make it more participatory. This includes a comprehensive communication strategy for the NBR, devising taxpayers' calculation modules, supporting taxpayers through direct face-to-face assistance provided in taxpayer service centers and through call centers and web interfaces that provides comprehensive support to the taxpayer. Bangladesh, in reforms, they have some challenges. Bangladesh is a very narrow tax base and very small percentage of the population bears the burden of taxes. The tax performance across the board is inconsistent with the GDP and economic growth in Bangladesh. There is a strong case of educating eligible taxpayers with their tax filing obligation as well as with information on law to go about it. However, tax reforms are not painless. Changes in tax procedures and new taxes are likely to be opposed by the public and important stakeholders frustrating reform efforts. Next slide. The salient features of NBR modernization plans. To reform in taxes administrations, we have some modernization plans. We know the earlier presentations for today's, everyone said that IT is needed for tax revelations, for tax reforms. A sound tax policy is in line with the international best practice while also being consistent with the local conditions in Bangladesh, as well as the higher economic and fiscal policy goals and imperative of the GOB. Significant growth in revenue performance through widening and deepening of the existing tax base across all the three taxes. These are the salient features. Another is reducing compliance cost for the taxpayers by reducing unnecessary paperwork and contacts between tax administrations and taxpayers, thereby establishing a regime that make the relationship between the tax departments and that honest and diligent taxpayer incident-free. We know the Bangladesh government has taken the agenda Vision 2020. That would be implemented by Vision 22 by the digital by establishing by Digital Bangladesh. According to that, the NBR has taken the digital NBR. The NBR has taken the project digital NBR. To implement Vision 22, we have taken some communication strategy in Bangladesh tax reform. Setting up an efficient integrated national tax accounting network that will correctly account for, reconcile and record tax payment information at a transactional level for all three taxes and make visible this information in real-time basis to taxpayers and to the stakeholders, including GOB, Government of Bangladesh, NBR, National Board of Revenue, tax officers, Bangladesh Bank and taxpayers. Increasing cooperation and coordination with other government and non-government agencies is also an agenda. You know, a few years back, Bangladesh was analog based, NBR was analog based. Nowadays, NBR has reforms. It has established it has taken some initiatives like as website development project. Few years back, we have to depend in the circle offices. We have to become manual process. We have to wait for the circulars, for the letters, for the communications, formulas. But nowadays, as website development project has been established, nowadays we can communicate easily with the NVR, with the public, with the private sector. The NVR has a reasonably informative and useful website. The NVR is working towards building a strong back-end system, data management capacity through its effort to centralizing accounts, centralizing returns, receipts, and processing, centralizing transaction processing, centralizing taxpayer registration, and rationalizing tax laws. Another initiatives or one of the initiatives, Taxpayer Service Center project. We have more than 360 cycles. The offices we have some the commissionerate. Every commissionerate and or every district there is a taxpayer service center. It has been established. This program works towards providing direct support to the taxpayer through conveniently located facilitation center. This program includes the setting of call center. It will set up call center that could provide answer that to the taxpayers' concern. It is an ongoing process. Recent times, we are working about on it. These centers will assist taxpayers in preparation of returns, in calculation of tax liabilities, in understanding to tax payment milestone dates. Currently, in the taxpayer services, only services are the ETIN to start files are working here, but it will be more effective when the project will be ended. Another initiative is automated service delivery process. NBR has undertaken a comprehensive organization renewal program that seeks to put in place an efficient, effective, fair, and responsive tax regime. In line with NBR modernization plan to this end, group mail and a Facebook page have already been created, and all officers have been advised to interact through these website interfaces. Facebook information is kept updated and free access is provided to the respective taxpayers for effective communication. Quality, quantity, administrative discipline, transparency, and accountability would be ensured in the service delivery process. Tax awareness and citizen-friendly tax administrations. To provide comprehensive support to the taxpayer, different outreach program has been taken, which includes alarm arranging income tax workshop and training, highlighting the role and importance of the NBR for revenue collection, addressing taxpayers' concerns through revenue dialogue. Strategic communication and taxpayer outreach, education and assistance. Tax Service Center has been established. Every tax commissioner's office to provide face-to-face assistance to the respected taxpayers. All the taxes zone are deeply committed to improve the quality to service through this service center. Another initiative is Meet the Taxpayers. According to the direction, National Board of Revenue, every commissioner's office is established to Meet the Taxpayer services from 10 to 12 p.m. in the first Tuesday of every month. Steps would be taken to organize the meeting more frequently. There are also communicative initiative is tax fair. Every year for about 9 years, we are organizing the tax fair. Every people there are some tax communication between taxpayers and officers. We are going to help the taxpayers in this tax fair. In future plan, Bangladesh NBR is deeply committed to ensure good governance and modern tax administration under the robust of 5 C's. That is cooperation, coordination, coherence, commitment, courage. Bangladesh NBR is deeply committed to gear up its taxpayers supporting services through increased direct face-to-face assistance in the taxpayer service center. That is, increased revenue comes up, improved office management for better taxpayer services, improved stakeholder relationship, ICT and digital information management, integrity in clients' relationships. You see the chart? That's the plan. Another plan is, it is established, it is going on ongoing process for QQTT, quality, quantity, timeliness, transparency and teamwork. Citizen-friendly tax administrations depends on 5F, that is fund, function, functionality, facilitation, freedom. Bangladesh NBR is committed to reflect the 5 core functions in its day-by-day routine object activities. In recommendations, I like to say, the NBR reform process should start with a communication strategy that at first maps out the key stakeholders such as parliamentarians, the judiciary, and the media, then recommends the appropriate communication needs and vehicles. Another important aspect of communication is taxpayers' education. Taxpayers need to be informed of the various tax procedures in a manner that can be grasped. Time is up. Another recommendation is there. In conclusion, I like to say, attaining an optional income tax system is a difficult and unavailable tax, but nevertheless critical for revenue generation, required accelerating growth and to improve the quality of life of the citizens. Thank you for your kind attention.
شكرا على للسيد
for Sayyid Muhammad Abdul Salam, Deputy Commissioner of the National Board of Revenue, for telling us about the general tax reforms in Bangladesh. Before we go to the Egyptian paper, the paper from the Iranian representative. So, Mr. Abdul Min'im now.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
At the beginning,
I thank the conference and Malaysia and the Secretary General, Mr. Abdullah, and all those responsible for organization of the conference. Firstly, we're going to speak about tax reform in Egypt and the communications that happened between Ministry of Finance and the population. Tax reform started in Egypt in 2004. Focused on two topics. We are trying to reduce income tax from 42% to 20%, and also average custom rate. We reduced the average custom rates also. The purpose was that to increase the percentage of the taxes to the GDP between 2012 to 2022 from 13% to 13.4 to 13.8. We stopped because of what occurred. We came back in 2016. We opened up this file again for tax reform. The other topic was tax administration, and the third topic was legislation and tax policies. Tax reform. There were 5 important trends, as we mentioned, with regards to the VAT taxes, and then conflict resolution in order to solve the problems with regards to the taxpaying community. The third type, that there be a law for small enterprises so that it can enter the business market. And then customs. There's a law or a bill that will go to Parliament with regards to local national production, and then also trying to simplify the income taxes. When we speak, the last thing we did, which is regard to indirect taxes, we used to be available in Egypt since 1921, and then later in the 60s there was a royalty on TV programs, and later on there was a production tax, and then finally in 81 there was a law with regards to consumption tax. There were many commodities that were taxable, all under one tax, which is the consumption tax. With regards to the problems that we faced, in 91 we developed it into a sales tax. There were 124 commodities, but now all commodities, all local commodities were encompassed by this tax, and about 17 different services. This was an implementation of the VAT, of the issues we faced in these sales taxes, because it allowed a certain deduction in the tax. In 2016, we started transforming this tax, or we supplemented it to make it the value-added tax. These services and taxes were all taxed. These commodities were all taxable. So before it was only on produced goods. Now it is all commodities and all services are taxable, except what is exceptional, and it is mentioned in the bill. And of course we took into consideration financial considerations and so on. The VAT so that it can be accepted in the society. We had an important experience in Egypt. Before we wrote the bill, we met all of the different chambers of commerce, and everyone who has a stake in this tax, to the extent that they are the ones who were asking us to implement the VAT law. And finally we did so in just recently. As I stand with you today, there are seminars between the stakeholders and the organization in order to implement the law and make it a reality. Because we are trying to say we are not just here to take money. We are a tax. We don't want the tax administration to be on one side and the taxpayers to be on the other side. We want there to be synergy and cooperation between the unions and the organization. And we brought some companies. We had a dialogue with them, and we accepted their proposals and ideas about the bill, such that the bill was clear and transparent and acceptable to all those dealing with this, such as accountants union and the chambers of commerce and all those that are have a stake in this tax. We took the opinions of some companies, such as construction companies, cigarette companies, different unions, labor unions. This was so this bill was a response to their opinions. So in this way, there was cooperation. So when there's this kind of coordination between those who will implement and those whom it will be implemented upon, then execution will be quite easy and seamless. And this way we avoid problems from the very beginning. This was our strategy in order to communicate with all those who will be affected by the bill. In the last year, as we were working on it, after we involved some of the accountant unions, as we said, and some of the businessmen, we edited it in a way such that whoever is going to the accountants or the union of accountants were able to implement it properly. So this was a successful experience in Egypt with regards to this legislative side of tax reform. Not only that, we also had, you know, that we had a problem with tourism in the recent years. Hopefully it will come back after we make the necessary reforms. We took the opinions of those in the tourism sector. We took their ideas and proposals. And finally, we have some laws with regards to how tax will be implemented in their sector. There were seminars with the universities and conferences so that we can link the practical implementation as well as the academic sector and academia, so that academia is not teaching things that contradict what we are implementing. They also took copies of the bill so that they can use it in academia to teach university students about the importance of taxes and how they are implemented, so that this will facilitate matters for the tax administration. The services we gave, the service we offered is to follow up. Once you implement a new tax, of course, prices will rise. You need to follow up. Efforts need to be consolidated between the different organizations in order to monitor the market. And this is what we did with the Association for Protecting the Consumer. So if there was an invoice, let's say, which was less than what is supposed to be paid, immediately I see who is the one who provided the invoice. I try to ameliorate the negative effects of this phenomenon. In addition, as you know, information is critical. All the dialogue that happens is all it has to do with the transactions of this taxpayer. If the information is not provided, there's a problem. Therefore, the tax administration coordinated with the different government institutions that deal with these fund providers. We were able to link the customs and the tax administration such that any imports or exports, this immediately goes into the account of the fund provider, whoever exported or imported, and immediately it's part of his account. So after this societal dialogue, we found that indeed when all of these different stakeholders participate in implementing the bill in the beginning, it helps. Number one, there would be confidence between the stakeholders and the organization, and also it will facilitate implementation. Thank you.
أستاذ عبد المنعم على اللمحة السريعة على النظام الضريبي في مصر والتطور اللي حدث والنقلة النوعية اللي صارت في الجهاز الضريبي في مصر. الآن أترك المجال إلى الدكتور علي رضا، تفضل لإلقاء الورقة الإيرانية. شكرا.
In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. First of all, once again, I would like to express our deep and sincere gratitude for the invitation made by our IRBM and for the warm hospitality and all the kindness we have already received here in Malacca. This working paper has been co-authored by me and His Excellency Mr. Taghavi Nejad, and I have been entrusted to present the paper. In this paper, I will talk about the recent amendments to the Iranian Direct Taxes Act, and in line with the objectives of the present conference, I will refer to an improved possibility for having access to the third party's information and new reporting requirements both for the taxpayers and the third parties. I will show that the new authorizations of the Iranian National Tax Administration in having access to information, to a large variety of taxpayers' information, has been combined with two different issues. First, an improved law enforcement guarantee through the criminalization of any failures in reporting, and two, by moving towards an integrated taxation, an integrated tax system, by finalizing and implementing the Tax Administration and Revenue Automation Project, which has been abbreviated as TARA project. Such reforms, we do believe, that will move the Iranian taxation system towards absolute tax transparency in short term, which, as you know, is a precondition and a pre-requirement for achieving social capital and mutual trust. And that is why we have already labeled such changes as a potential tax revolution in Iran. As you know, each taxation system includes some inputs and is seeking for some outcomes or some output. So on the side of inputs, we have laws and regulations, administrative procedures, human resources, technology, more specifically IT technology in the new age, and information. But we are searching as output to achieve tax revenues, social justice, and taxpayer satisfaction. So as you see here, I have highlighted the term, the word information, and it shows that the focus of the working paper would be on information. I will talk about, first of all, I will talk about, our previous system of having access to taxpayers' information, through the Direct Taxes Act approved in 2001, and then I will shift to the new reforms in the taxation system. In the previous law, we had the possibility for having access to the information pertinent to taxpayers' income or taxpayers' specifications held with third parties. And we also had the possibility for obtaining information concerning taxpayers' business activities and income from ministries, government institutions, state-owned enterprises, non-government public foundations, municipalities, and institutions like this. And we also had a possibility for obtaining information from banks and non-bank credit institutions through the Minister of Economic Affairs and Finance. So potentially, the banking information, were available, but in practice, the minister himself was not available. So let me talk about the enforcement guarantees of treating with those who failed to provide information to INTA. If someone failed to undertake his reporting obligations, he could be referred to the judiciary through the Office of Tax Disciplinary Prosecutor, and the result would be conviction to compensate for the losses incurred to the government only. So the sanctions in the previous law, they were only civil sanctions. So we kept thinking of the insufficiency of the previous system for some years because of two reasons. First, inaccessibility of integrated information and the government's dependence on third parties only, and having traditional access to information that required making manual, inquiries, and it needed a lot of energy and time. Okay, so what happens in the new law? I will focus on only 2 or 3 articles. Article 169, Article 169 BIS, and Article 274. Article 169 in the new law requires legal persons and business owners, real persons, to register with the tax system upon the announcement to be made by Iranian National Tax Administration. So they are required to issue invoices for all transactions they make, first. They are required to provide their taxpayers' information number, TIN number, and the TIN numbers of those transacting with them on their invoices, contracts and similar documents. And they are required to submit the list of their transactions on a quarterly basis to the tax administration. In Article 169 BIS, the Iranian National Tax Administration has been obliged to make a modern taxpayers database with 2 aims. First, promoting transparency in economic and business activities. Second, to establish an integrated information system, ITS. The taxpayers' information in question can be divided into three, general classes. First, ownership properties. Second, business activities information. Third, identity information. By nature, we can, make some sub-classifications. They are, the information intended can be financial, monetary, transactional, capital-oriented, or real estate-oriented information. Organizations and institutions that have access to the required information or provide preliminaries for real or legal persons to derive income and to own properties, they shall be obliged to submit those information to the Iranian National Tax Administration. Such organizations include ministries, government institutions, municipalities, institutions affiliated to the government and municipalities, non-government public institutions, and statutory bodies. They also include Islamic Revolution foundations. Previously, such foundations, they were not subject to taxation and they were not subject to any reporting requirements. And then we have banks and finance and credit institutions. Previously, they were only partially obliged to provide INTA with bank information, but now they are totally obliged to do that. And then we have the State Organization for Registration of Deeds and Real Estate and any other institutions asked by the Iranian National Tax Administration. So let me get into the details of different classes of information intended in the new law. As for identity information, we have identity and residence information of real or legal persons. And we have licenses for business activities as well as licenses for making transactions and concluding contracts. As for real and legal person transactional information, we have the information of purchase and sale of assets, goods and services, the information of foreign trade, contracts related to trade transactions and trade activities, contracts related to contracting operations, contractorship, and any types of service provision, information related to buying and selling foreign currencies, information of any types of insurance companies, and so on. As for financial, monetary, credit, or capital-oriented information of different persons, so what is intended in the law would be first, total turnover for the transfer of shares, two, total turnover and balance of bank accounts, total turnover and balance of different types of deposits and the interest on those deposits, and banking loans. As I said, INTA may ask for the information of ownership as well, and any other types of information of business activities can be added to this long list. So let me talk about the enforcement guarantees for the implementation of Article 169 BIS under the new law. There is a note under this article which requires all persons, whether real or legal, and all authorities holding the information to provide INTA with such information. Any violators of the provisions of the rule of this note shall be subject to, first, having joint and several liability with taxpayer for the payment of the due tax, and a fine equal to an amount from 50% to 200% of the unpaid tax. So the implication is that here in the new act we have combined civil sanctions already existing with criminals punishments, and this is the first time in the history of taxation in Iran that this has been actually intended. Okay, according to Article 274, some cases shall be regarded as tax crime for the first time, and the violators shall be sentenced to criminal punishments. They have as follows. 1, refraining from fulfilling their obligation for the submission of financial information. 2, drawing up unreal books of accounts, documents, and records, and relying on such documents, and hiding one's business activity and concealing the income derived from it. The last point to be mentioned here is that the Iranian National Tax Administration has been obliged to provide some public institutes with having an online access to its central database. Such institutes as Central Bank and the Central Insurance Company, the Customs Administration, and the Securities and Exchange Organizations, and some other public institutions, they could have online access to our database in order to have the name of tax debtors to make decisions if they can provide such persons with services or not. So it is worth mentioning here that the exchange of information within the tax administration is supposed to be a two-way road. So when you impose a heavy administrative burden on third parties and relying on efforts made by them, you manage to create a powerful database, then normally those third parties would expect you to play the same for them. So the note under Article 169 BIS, is in line with this principle. So as my concluding remarks, the results expected from a full and proper implementation of the new law would be, first, an improved access to the tax information of any type of persons without any limitations, and 2, an enhancement and improvement of the law enforcement guarantees through the criminalization of any reporting failures. So there are 2 requirements for the implementation of the new amendments. The first one is the provision of IT infrastructures. We are now moving toward this aim. And the second one is that INTA has been given a deadline of 3 years by the legislators to implement the tax administration and revenue automation project in line with such amendment. Thank you for listening.
شكرا للسيد علي رضا على
Thank you, Mr. Ali Riza, for this information, especially mentioning some of the laws in Iran and making use of these investigation laws for tax amendments. And I give the chance to the floor if they have any question or comment. I can't see clearly. Our sister here raising her hand. From which country? Please identify yourself. Please, go on. I am from Mauritania. We are from countries that have economies which unidentified sections is difficult to deal with them, and to implement these reforms will be so difficult between administration and taxpayers, especially for electronic permissions. In Mauritania, for example, before every entry, we do a new law, like experts, accountants, and those stakeholders. But always the problem is how to deal with classified business. And for the urgent need to achieve all sustainable improvement, what is your opinion is the best way to deal with those sections, and what is the best module to do this tax reform? And thank you. Mr. Abdul Man'am, please answer this question. I'd like to make it clear. It is that your question is really exists in so many countries, and this is the question that I raised yesterday. There is an official market that is available in the country, and it's so difficult to control it. It's difficult to control it because of less availability of information, and that's due to they don't have bills. There must be a system where every deal should, with these companies in general and in market especially, that today when I'm dealing with the largest companies and those who issue bills, and through them I can reach to their clients, and I identify those clients and I see if they have files. Okay, if they don't have, I register them. If they have files, do they submit their information so that I reach to the correct information, so that through them I reach to their clients, and therefore I can reach to the unofficial market, because it's either a local productive, so that I already register him and I know, or is it important and it comes inside from customs and I can follow up through the importers to see who are the dealers in this market. And so that another thing that we have done in Egypt, that we have low in the microfinance project, that those small enterprises, they don't want to compliance. They are so afraid, they are so scared that it might be unfair for them. So when I create a law for small enterprises, only small rate, very small rate at the beginning, 2, 3 to 4%, then I encourage them to comply, and they will only pay a small amount of money, so it will be easy for them. This is in how to deal with such market. Thank you.
Yes.
So I would like to refer to that part of our sister's, question regarding with how to identify and how to separate.
Okay. الميكروفون بالنسبة
I would like to refer to answer that part of the question regarding how to identify different types of industries and how to actually separate different industries and different economic sectors. Yes, there might be some overlaps between different economic sectors, but I do think that the best way to identify those parts is to mention the exemplars and the instances of those sectors clearly in the legislation and in the law. So in Iran we have tried to do that. We have tried to mention the instances of different business activities in the law by name, and that is what we have adopted.
Thank you. في سؤال.
Any other question? Our sister.
The question is for Mr. Muhammad from Egypt. He spoke about some of the reforms that the Egyptian Republic did, which is with regards to conflict resolution between the tax administration and the tax holders. Was it by concession, or was it the result, the cancellation of that legislation that gives the administration or the taxpayer to go to the courts? Thank you. Of course, I'm not going to cancel the laws that punish those who violated the laws. those laws exist, but what I do, I give a chance to all of these conflicts when no judgment was passed. I give them a chance to so we stop, let's say, what's happening in the courts or in the conflict resolution council. They look at the memos and the documents given by the stakeholder, and then there's some agreement, and then we choose which court can deal with the issue. So we're not canceling the law. If there was no resolution through these different councils, then we continue to look at the conflict, usually in the appeals or in the main courts. So it's just about facilitation of conflict resolution. The law we're working on now, we specified a time period, so we can say that if we say for the stakeholder or the fund provider, you have 1 year in order to solve the problem in the next year, there will be a condition that as long as there is no final judgment from the court. So in this way, I gave an incentive to fund providers in this 1 year, come and provide your forms and your applications in order to resolve the conflict during that 1 year. Thank you. Is there another question? In the end of this session, the issue of tax reform is a continuous process. It's not going to be time specified. It's based on the requirements of the tax administration. It continues. Sometimes the requirements are quite big, and it will have a great effect on the laws, on the tax administration, and whatever repercussions there are. And sometimes it might be for a short period of time and for a specific purpose. At the end of this session, I'd like to thank Mr. Abdul Minam from Egypt and Muhammad Abd Salam, the Deputy Commissioner in Bangladesh, and Mr. Kamil and Ali Rida from Iran, and the rapporteurs. Also, I thank the rapporteurs, Mr. Mansour from Saudi Arabia and Muhammad Amin. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Youssef Nahaba, Mr. Abdus Salam, Mr. Abdel Monaim, and Dr. Ali Reza Khanjan. Please remain on stage for a quick photography session. Mr. Mansour Muhammad Al Muhayya and Mr. Muhammad Aminuddin Musa, thank you. Now let us wait momentarily while the stage crew make the necessary preparations for the next session. Ladies and gentlemen, I have two announcements with me. The first announcement is the Secretariat will put up a shuttle service schedule for departure from the Equatorial Hotel to Kuala Lumpur International Airport. You may check the schedule on the board in front of the Secretariat room after lunch. I repeat, the Secretariat will put up a shuttle service schedule for departure from the Equatorial Hotel to Kuala Lumpur International Airport. You may check the schedule on the board in front of the Secretariat room after lunch. And that was the first announcement. The second announcement is, ladies and gentlemen, materials presented in the 13th ATAIC Annual Technical Conference have been uploaded to the 13th ATAIC conference portal for your reference. You can access the materials at ataic13.hasil.gov.my. You can access the materials at ataic13.hasil.gov.my. That's ataic13.hasil.gov.my. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall now proceed with session number 7 of the conference, which is a presentation on Addis Tax Initiative, ATI. It is my pleasure to invite the speaker, Mr. Simon Christian Blom, to be on stage for his presentation. Can we have the representative from Palestine, Hussam M.J. Alamea, and Ms. Rajasvari Nadison, to take your places at the spot designated for the rapporteurs. Thank you. In the interest of time and to ensure the smooth running of the conference, please be reminded that the time allocated for this session is 30 minutes. The time allocated for this session is 30 minutes. The first bell will be rung once, 3 minutes before the time ends, and the bell will be rung twice when the time is up. Ladies and gentlemen, I now hand over the session to the speaker.
All right. Well then, first of all, let me use this opportunity to thank ATAIC for the invitation and the opportunity to speak to such a distinguished audience about the Addis Tax Initiative. And second, it goes without saying, of course, that I'd also like to thank the opportunity and thank our Malaysian hosts for their tremendous hospitality. This whole conference has been one very pleasant experience so far. As it has come to my attention, the Addis Tax Initiative might be the least technical topic discussed in this otherwise very technical conference. And this is why I would like to begin my presentation with a short video clip. I doubt that it will reveal entirely new information to you, as you're all working with or affiliated with tax administrations in one way or the other. But I think it will help to kind of set the stage and put into perspective what we do at the International Tax Compact and even more so in the Addis Tax Initiative. Please note that this clip is not an International Tax Compact product or an ATI, Addis Tax Initiative product, but it was produced by the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development for the UN Conference on Financing for Development last year. So it does refer to 2015, but its core messages did not lose any of their significance so far. And that said, I would like to ask the Masters of Ceremony in the back to please roll the clip.
2015 is a landmark year for sustainable development and the global fight against poverty and inequality. The Millennium Development Goals will soon expire. The Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, will be the next even more ambitious step. Their successful implementation depends on the availability of the necessary financial resources. Approximately $4 trillion will be required every year. To meet this demand, international, domestic, public, and private resources have to be mobilized. Domestic Resource Mobilization, or DRM, provide governments with the funds needed to invest in development, relieve poverty, and deliver public services. There is an immense potential of untapped domestic revenues in developing and emerging countries. Mobilizing them reduces their dependence on official development assistance. It means mobilizing the most predictable, stable, and sustainable source of development finance. The use of own resources enhances their responsibility and ownership over public spending. Taxes are the link between citizens and the state, and therefore require accountability. It's clear. Stepping up DRM is key to ensuring solid financing of the post-2015 development agenda. And people will be more likely to pay taxes if their governments invest tax revenues effectively and efficiently, in line with people's needs. International experiences have shown so far. Leveraging DRM is a complex challenge without easy answers. It is not just about raising tax rates. Reforms have winners and losers, and bear the risk to be undermined. Nevertheless, many countries have made significant progress in this area. Georgia, for example, managed to increase tax revenue of up to 450%, and could therefore significantly increase social spending on health and education. Recent tax reforms in Paraguay have resulted in increased revenues despite lower rates. This was achieved through the broadening of the tax base and increased compliance. The VAT compliance rate has since risen from 68% to 92% and is now considered among the best of the world. So it is worth to support developing countries in their efforts to reform their tax systems. But DRM is not only a challenge for developing countries. Citizens everywhere will only pay their taxes voluntarily if the tax system is perceived as fair. Also, big multinational enterprises have to pay their share. Tax evasion and avoidance have to be tackled globally. The OECD estimates that each euro invested in the reformed tax systems will lead to an increase in tax revenue of 100 euro. Therefore, concerted action to enhance DRM needs to be taken now. There is no doubt DRM will be essential for achieving the SDGs. We can make it happen.
All right. That all said, I'd like to allow myself to take a brief detour to give you an idea what we work at in the International Tax Compact, which is the organization that I represent here, just before I come to the ADIS Tax Initiative itself. The International Tax Compact, or ITC as we abbreviate it, is a platform for dialogue and action which aims at strengthening international cooperation with developing and transition countries in tax matters. And how do we do that? For example, we conduct studies such as a recently published study on information and communication technology and tax administration in developing countries. Or another study that we conducted was on successful tax reforms that elaborates on what has worked, why, and with what kind of support. And furthermore, we do conduct workshops, conferences, and trainings, and we do a lot of work with the regional networks, such as ATAF or CIAT. And we do have some collaboration with IBFD that I'm aware of. And I can only warmly invite you to visit taxcompact.net, where all the publication and information on the activities of the ITC are freely available. And last but not least, in the very spirit of what we do, we also facilitate the Secretariat for the ADIS Tax Initiative, which I will come to now. So, first of all, what is the ADIS Tax Initiative? Well, the ATI, as I will abbreviate it in this presentation, is a multi-stakeholder partnership in capacity building in the area of DRM, or domestic resource mobilization, that assembles more than 40 countries and organizations committed to step up their efforts to enhance DRM in partner countries. Among those 40, there are 3 members of ATAIC, namely Indonesia, Senegal, and Sierra Leone, who I'd like to thank very much for their kind support and their participation in the ATI. In fact, Senegal has served as a member of the steering committee of the ATI for the past year, which I would like to especially thank them for. The ATI was launched in July 2015 at the International Conference for Financing for Development in Addis Ababa, which is obviously where the initiative also got its name from. And as is the case with the ITC, the ultimate goal of the ATI is to enable partner countries to more effectively mobilize their own resources for financing development and attaining the Sustainable Development Goals. That said, all countries subscribing to the ATI declare their commitment to improve the fairness, transparency, efficiency, and effectiveness of their tax systems. And just to make sure everybody's on board with wording regarding our slides here, by ATI development partners, I am referring to signatory countries that provide technical assistance in the area of tax or DRM. And by ATI partner countries, I am referring to signatory countries that intend to enhance DRM in their country and receive or seek technical assistance from development partners to do so. So how does the ATI work? Basically, the ATI is built around 3 commitments that all ATI signatories agree upon when signing up. Commitment 1 says that participating providers of development cooperation collectively commit to double their support for technical cooperation in the area of taxation and DRM by 2020. This means that most providers will double their support, while others that might already have large portfolios and large programs will substantially increase their support. But the ultimate goal is to reach a cumulative doubling by 2020. Commitment number 2 says that participating partner countries restate their commitment to step up DRM in order to increase, and I quote this from the ATI declaration, which you can download at is Tax Initiative Net to see the full document, to increase the means of implementation for attaining these sustainable development goals and inclusive development. The rationale behind this is basically the recognition of the fact that political will is at the very core. It's a central requirement for successfully drive forward the modernization of tax systems, as we have heard already this morning in the presentations by Mr. Van Kommer. Commitment number 3 states that all participating countries commit to pursue policy coherence for development, which means that all relevant domestic tax policies reflect to the joint objective of supporting improvements in DRM in partner countries, and to ensure that the principles of transparency, efficiency, and fairness apply. All right, now I'm getting ahead of myself here. Well, how will these 3 commitments be implemented, or how does the ATI work? First of all, the ATI does assemble this broad network of international network of more than 40 countries and organizations that we've seen on the slide before this one. And all these partners are committed to enhance DRM in partner countries or their own countries respectively. So with these 19 development partners that are all committed to increasing their support for DRM in partner countries, there's a lot of possible funding for future tax projects gathered around the table. And ATI partner countries might use this network to reach out to development partners with requests for technical assistance to enhance DRM, or for seeking support in undertaking, for example, the TARAT assessment, which is also something that we have been referring to earlier today. And also development partners might address this network to look for co-financing or for partners with which to organize joint activities. These are all things that are way easier to achieve when there is a group of people around the table that all share the same goal, obviously. And that is what the ATI is basically about. It's as simple as that. In this context, allow me to point out that the ATI itself does not have own funds to initiate programs in partner countries. This is much more the mission is much more to facilitate this kind of support. Another focus of work of the ATI will be the coordination among development partners, which is always an important issue when different organizations work towards the same goals. And as a first step, we are currently working on a database of technical assistance projects in the area of DRM, which will be provided on the ATI website early 2017. This database compiles information on all DRM relevant projects that are being carried out by ATI development partners worldwide. And yeah, this will be the shall be the one-stop shop for information on DRM support. Also drawn from this database, there will be a catalog of the support that is available out there. So yeah, you can see the kind of work that is being done and by whom. At this point, allow me again to recur on what we have heard earlier this morning and to point out that coordination of technical cooperation at the country level does remain the responsibility of partner countries, as we have heard that yeah, the environment in which tax reforms or modernization of tax systems is being carried out is very crucial, and nobody else knows that better than the partner countries that, that request such technical assistance, of course. The idea behind all this is yeah, that partner countries will be able, with the information available in the database, will be able to address development partners much more targeted when seeking technical assistance. And also, we beg to think that this tool also bears huge potential for South-South cooperation and peer learning, since partner countries will be in the position to very easily find out what projects have been carried out in partner countries that might have similar conditions or face similar challenges. And last but not least, there will be an annual monitoring report which will look at the progress made against meeting the ATI commitments. That is said, of course, commitment 1 quantitatively, so it will measure how much of how far we are into doubling the support for DRM. But it will also provide all ATI signatories with the opportunity to share good practices and lessons learned and reflect on the progress made, and also to provide an outlook on future activities. We are currently in the process of drafting the first ATI monitoring report, which will define the baseline against which the doubling, the commitment number 1, will be measured. And preliminary results of this baseline report will be presented at a side event at the high-level meeting of the Global Partnership for Effective Development Cooperation. So if anybody of you happens to be in Nairobi in the end of November at this very conference, I can also only warmly invite you to join in that side event. Now, that all said, let me provide you with some other practical information by answering the simple question, who can participate in the ATI? Well, the answer is pretty simple. All countries that do provide development assistance and or that are interested in receiving technical assistance for enhancing DRM in partner countries or their own country respectively, and that are willing to sign up to the ATI declaration can join the ADIS Tax Initiative and are very much welcome to do so. That all said, what are the implications of joining the ADIS Tax Initiative? Well, partner countries that join the ADIS Tax Initiative are effectively subscribing to the principles that are outlined in the ATI declaration, again, which I have not put on a slide here because it's an 8-page document, which you can download at the adistaxinitiative.net website. But they sign up, partner countries do sign up particularly as regards to commitment number 2 and 3. That said, joining the ADIS Tax Initiative simply signals their support for domestic resource mobilization as a key means of financing their own development priorities and achieving the SDGs. And again, we have heard about this this morning, that the political will is crucial to conduct tax reforms successfully. Please note that adhering to the ATI does not require meeting specific targets for partner countries. However, ATI partner countries are of course very much encouraged to share their DRM strategy if they have one, and actively contribute to the extent possible to the monitoring by monitoring their progress on DRM through, for example, the use of national indicators. And since this is a question that we have heard a lot in the past, please be informed that there is no membership fee whatsoever for partner countries. All ATI signatories will be included in the official ATI communication, which is which is basically a distribution list of email addresses with all the people involved in the ATI. And of course, all ATI signatories are very much welcome to participate and contribute to the ATI activities and discussions. All right, and yeah, since I came all this way to Malaysia to convince some of you to consider joining the ATI, I have prepared this one slide, basically summing up the benefits that partner countries will face when joining the ATI. And this is all something that I might have said earlier in this presentation, so I can keep my remarks here very brief. ATI partner countries do benefit from signaling their strong interest in receiving technical assistance on DRM, allowing ATI development partners to offer assistance without having to first receive an official request. And furthermore, ATI partner countries signal their national commitment at the highest level to undertaking DRM reforms, which can be a crucial factor, as we have heard earlier today. Furthermore, as I have also elaborated on earlier, partner countries do benefit from connecting with that broad international network of providers of development assistance in the area of DRM. But at this point in my presentation, I feel that it is necessary to clarify that ATI membership is not a prerequisite for partner countries to receive technical assistance from ATI development partners, nor does it imply preferential treatment from ATI development partners necessarily. And, well, to sum things up, this is yet another question that we have been, has been raised in the past very oftenly, and depicts on another very practical aspect. How can a country or organization join the EDIS Tax Initiative? And the answer to that is pretty simple as well. Countries can join by simply sending a letter of intent by email to the ITC Secretariat, which is whose address I've put on that slide. It's secretariat@taxcompact.net, but you might also address this letter directly to me, as I will provide you with my contact details when you approach me. That's no problem at all. This letter should declare the intention to sign up to the ATI declaration and nominating a focal point, which can consist of either one or ideally more than one person, 2 or 3 ideally, maybe, which will be the contact persons for all ATI communication from there on out. We will provide a template for such a letter of intent on our ATI homepage, which is edistaxinitiative.net. And all the information that I just presented to you will also be provided in small blue little booklets that will be provided on a table just outside this conference room, as I have learned earlier. And I can only, of course, invite you to visit our website or approach me with any further questions. And I would like now to thank you for your attention. And I think there is some time left to answer maybe 1 or 2 questions from the floor. Well, thank you. Okay. Is there? Yes, please, Egypt.
Thank you, Simon, for your presentation. I just would like to ask if your organization have mandatory obligation to report to the government of Germany the work details or what did you do periodically or something like that? Are you obliged to report your work to the government of Germany?
I'm not really getting it. Sorry, I can't.
I mean, when you have this kind of cooperation or helping development for other countries, are you obliged to report your work to the German government or not?
You mean within the ATI or within the International Tax
Yeah,
Compact?
the ATI.
No, the ATI is, there is, I mean, I did not put this into the presentation as I thought it would be already too deep into the details. The ATI does have a steering committee that consists of 6 signatories. These are Senegal, as I mentioned earlier, Tanzania, the Netherlands, the European Commission, Canada, and the United Kingdom, as a broad variety of all the stakeholders involved. If that answers your question, these are this is basically the body that sets the rules or the agreements for the ATI.
But you said it's funded, or your work funded by government of Germany?
No. That's maybe a misunderstanding. The International Tax Compact was originally an initiative launched by the government of Germany back in 2009 in the aftermath of the 2008 Doha Conference on Effective Development Cooperation. And what we're working on now is putting it on a more broad basis in terms of funding. So we hope to receive co-funding by the European Commission starting next year. Yes, please.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أشكر المحاضر.
I thank the presenter. I'm from Mauritania. How can we, a state like Mauritania, how can we be a member of this organization? And if we become a member, what kind of support with regards to the framework and legislation and logistic support can you offer? Can you give me some information? Yeah.
To how to become a member, it is really as simple as I just described. You can formulate a letter of intent that does declare your intention to become an ATI partner country. And in terms of the assistance that can be provided, well, actually that is a bit up to you, I would say, because the whole idea of the ATI is that partner countries can address a group of development partners with their specific needs and figure out who might be the ideal partner to carry out technical assistance in the very field that you are currently working on, be it the AUI topics or applying to BEPS standards or you name it. That's basically the idea, if that answers your question. Yes, please.
أنا من موريتانيا أريد فقط.
I'm from Mauritania. Again, to second what my partner said with regards to the meetings in Addis Ababa, with regards to the goals of sustainable development, were there results? How did you coordinate, or the information about it, please? Can you give me information about it?
How we monitor the progress made against meeting the commitments of the Addis Tax Initiative partners? Is that the question?
My question is, this initiative happened in the conference of Addis Ababa in order to achieve the goals of sustainable development and so on. What is the connection between Addis Ababa and...
Well, generally speaking, the connection between the ATI and the Addis Ababa Action Agenda, which is the final document that was met in Addis, is basically the recognition that domestic resource mobilization is to be one of the key means to raise funding for meeting the Sustainable Development Goals. That is the whole connection. But in terms of monitoring, we do not monitor the SDGs ourselves. What we do is we monitor the commitments being met that were made in the ATI. So the doubling and the doubling of funds that are being provided for DRM reforms, and the commitment of stepping up efforts to to enhance DRM. That's basically the idea here. Yes, please.
Thank you for your presentation. You talked about some technical assistance activities to be delivered by your organization. So I would like to know in what form those technical assistance, are going to be granted to different countries, and if those countries applying for the technical assistance are required to be a member of that initiative necessarily.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to earlier. It is not a prerequisite. It's not necessary to be a member of the ATI to receive any technical assistance from development partners, because the ATI is supposed to be a voluntary initiative. That's one of the principles, one of the idea behind it. So we do not want to blackmail anybody into joining or anything. That's not the point. In terms of the kind of assistance.
So what kind of technical assistance you mean? You mean workshops, seminars, and training course, in-house training?
Okay. No, actually, these commitments do refer in general to bilateral development projects that are being carried out in the very partner countries, in their administrations respectively. But since the definition of what we count into the doubling is basically all activities that are funded by official development assistance funds, it is also possible that development partners do increase things like workshops, technical trainings and such to meet the commitment of doubling their effort. So it's not limited to bilateral projects in the partner countries, but yeah, there might also be conferences and trainings that derive from the additional support to DRM.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. I think time's up. I'd like to thank you for your attention, and yeah, great further conference for everybody.
Thank you so much, Mr. Simon Christian Blum. Please remain on stage for a quick photography session. Mr. Hussam MJ Alamia and Ms. Rajeswari Nadesan, thank you. Now, let us wait momentarily while the stage crew make the necessary preparations for the next session. Ladies and gentlemen, we now continue with session number 8 of the conference, which is a special presentation on the topic Establishing an Effective and Efficient Zakat Institution, a Malaysian Experience in the Federal Territories. It is my honor to invite the speaker, Mr. Haji Muhammad Rais Haji Alias, to the stage for his presentation. Mr. Muhammad El-Fadil Ibrahim and Ms. Rajeswari Nadesan, please take your places at the spot designated for the rapporteurs. Thank you. In the interest of time and to ensure the smooth running of the conference, please be reminded that the time allocated for this session is 30 minutes. Please be reminded that the time allocated for this session is 30 minutes. The first bell will be rung once, 3 minutes before the time ends, and the bell will be rung twice when time is up. Ladies and gentlemen, I now hand over the session to the speaker.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wa bihi nasta'in wa salatu wa salamu ala asrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa
I praise God and I send prayers and blessings upon Prophet Muhammad, and I seek God's assistance.
Ladies and gentlemen, participants of the 13th Association of Tax Authorities of Islamic Countries, or ATAC Technical Conference. Firstly, I would like to thank the organizer, Inland Revenue Board of Malaysia, particularly to Tan Sri, Director General, for giving me the opportunity to represent a paper in this auspicious conference. Since I'm only given half an hour, I'll try to finish off early so that I won't hold you for your lunch. Thank you. Okay, frankly, when I was asked to present this paper on the topic of establishing effective and efficient zakat institution, I first asked myself two questions mainly. Is there really a model of any zakat institution considered to be effective and efficient? And secondly, is there really a yardstick to measure how effective and efficient a zakat institution should be? With these two questions, I tried high and low to find if there is any literature written on this topic. Well, unfortunately, there is none. There seems to be no literature or any paper precisely written on this topic. So the question is, what should I do? Consequently, I asked the organizer to narrow down the topic to something that I'm familiar with, which is adding a line to the original topic, which is a Malaysian experience. And thank you, they agreed. But since I come from an organization which only operates in one of the states in Malaysia, I once again would like to ask the organizer to add another line to the topic, which is in the federal territory. Therefore, I hope that we all agree upon that the final topic to this presentation will be establishing an effective and efficient zakat institution, the Malaysian experience in the federal territories. Hopefully by the end of my presentation, we shall see whether by choosing an organization by the name of Federal Territory Religious Council, we could establish that Federal Territory Religious Council can be called as an effective and efficient zakat institution, inshallah. Ladies and gentlemen, so why did I choose this topic then? It is because the Constitution of Malaysia, on the article number 3, states that Islam is the religion of the federation, but other religion may be practiced in peace and harmony in any part of the federation. In every state that, other than states not having a ruler, the position of the head of the religion is Islam in his state, in the manner and to the extent acknowledged and declared by the Constitution, all rights, privileges, prerogatives, and powers enjoyed by him as head of the religion are unaffected and unimpaired, but in any case, in any acts, observance or ceremonies with respect to which the Conference of Rulers has agreed that they should extend to the federation as a whole, each of the other ruler shall in his capacity of head of the religion of Islam authorized by the Yang Bertuan Agong. In other words, in Malaysia, though Islam is the official religion, federal government does not have the fullest authority in religious affairs. Malaysian Constitution lists zakat under the jurisdiction of the respective states, and each state has its religious administration enactment, while the federal territory has its own act to manage zakat. Zakat Management Office under the respective Islamic religious councils of each state are normally known as Zakat and Baitul Mal Office, or Zakat Committee, Zakat Unit, or even Zakat Department. Apart from Zakat Collection Office, there are Zakat Officers or Amil, whom are appointed during the month of Ramadan to collect Zakat on faith or self. Therefore, it can be concluded that all religious matters and ceremonial custom of Muslim in Malaysia are put under the administration of the respective states, where rulers and sultan are also the head of the religion of the respective states. So, what are some of the duties and responsibility of the religious council of each state? Apart from the zakat collection and disbursement, the Islamic Religious Council and the Islamic Religious Department of each state engage itself with other function and matters concerning personal and sociable adherence and observance of Muslim, such as Muslim faith, mosque, prayers, fasting, marriages, divorces, Islamic education, enforcement of the Sharia law, propagation of Islamic faith, conversion, Muslim welfare, Muslim festival, and also endowments or wakaf. First, let me begin with a brief history of zakat management in Malaysia. As you know, Malaysia was colonized by three superpowers, or four, in fact, four superpowers at that time, which is the Portuguese in 1511 to 1641, and we have the Dutch since 1641 to 1824 for about 183 years, and also the British who came in 1824 to 1957 when we got our independence, which is about 133 years. Then briefly the Japanese came during the World War II, and the British came back before we got our independence. So in the colonial days, there was one office, a state in the northeast of Malaysia, which is known by Kelantan. It was the first administration state that collect zakat during that time. And normally during that time, people pay their zakat to the ustads or the religious teacher, and they themselves will distribute the zakat money to the kampung or to the village people. And through the years, during the colonial years until 1990s, zakat was not collected to its maximum. This is because, if you see, there is no emphasis on zakat on feed and paddy. But during that time, the Malays, they only have what you call working in the paddy farm, paddy fields, and they cannot afford to pay their zakat. And no intention was given to zakat on mal and businesses. Zakat is only collected on faith or itself. So businesses is not a priority at that time, because there was no business from the Malays or from the indigenous. And members of the public are not given detailed information on type of zakat calculation. There was no dissemination of information on how to calculate zakat at that time. So people are just paying merely on their zakat on faith or zakat on self during Ramadan. So there was no zakat on mal or zakat on wealth at that time. There are also staff requirement could not be carried out, and also no job specification for zakat officials. There is no emphasis on zakat at that time, and merely the amil is just collecting zakat on agriculture or even zakat on just faith, on their feet or on their self. Okay. So So after the 90s, there has been changes in the zakat administration throughout the country. When a body by the name of Pusat Pengurutan Zakat or Zakat Collection Center was established by the FT, Federal Territory Religious Council, to collect zakat using the corporate way. Therefore, it sparks the modernization of zakat institution in Malaysia. It could be seen that after the modernization of zakat in this country, there was a clear picture of the highest authority of Islamic affairs in each state, in the Islamic Council headed by the Sultan or the Raja of each state, and the Council to establish a Sharia enactment and to ensure the effective implementation of the enactment in the smooth functioning of Islamic prayers. And basically, zakat collection and distribution falls under the three jurisdiction of Baitul Mal. And since 1990s, new zakat office as an organized and professional body was established. Why? Because to empower the zakat institution and to ensure that zakat rules and regulation are effectively managed. So what was the changes that occurred after the corporatization of Pusat Pengajian Zakat in federal territories? Mainly, changes after corporatization can be seen by enhanced capabilities of state zakat centers in defining its goal, function and duties, a more aggressive professional and teamwork outlook by the states, and also more committed effort in developing systems such as the financing system and the operation system, more comfortable and attractive office environment, a new look to the office environment, and also the government and the community realizing its important role institution of zakat can play. Now let me introduce you to the Federal Territory Religious Council, which was established in commemoration of Kuala Lumpur as the first federal territory, which is way back in 1974. And in 1984, Labuan, an island was established as the second federal territory. And in 1989 was the year that PPZ was established to be the company fully owned by council to collect zakat on their behalf. In 2001, we have Putrajaya was established as the third federal territory. And in 2016, the Federal Territory Religious Council received clean certificate without reprimand on its financial statement from the National Audit Department 10 years in a row. In 1989, like I was saying just now, Federal Territory Religious Council established a company where it holds 100% shares, that is in Pusat Pengurutan Zakat or ZCC, Zakat Collection Center, with the objective of firstly increasing the zakat collection, secondly to increase in numbers of zakat payers, okay. Like I was saying just now, the purpose of establishing zakat center is firstly to increase the zakat collection, and secondly to increase the numbers of zakat payers, and thirdly is to improve the professional management of practice based on current technology and maximize the level of customer satisfaction through services rendered and creating a working environment based on Islamic value. So what are the results of this establishment of Zakat Collection Center. Before Zakat Collection Center was established in 1991, the collection was merely 7 million ringgit. You can divide that by 4 if you want to have it in US dollar. And after the establishment of Zakat for the last 26 years, in 2015, we managed to collect 565 million, which is equivalent to 141.2 US dollar. So this is a very big jump in collection. And what are the success factor in collecting zakat in Kuala Lumpur? Firstly, basically there are 5 factors that affects the collection of zakat, which is the organizational characteristic. Secondly, the work culture. Thirdly, the economy itself, the social culture, and also the law factor. Maybe I can go one by one in terms of what are the success factors that we have. In terms of organizational characteristic, we have the corporatization of zakat office in Malaysia at that time. So there was no zakat office in terms of corporatization, which is they are normally under the government department. Secondly is the concept of the amil. People might say that amil is only people that the person that collects zakat in the mosque during the Ramadan month. But now we have changed the concept of amil, which is we call by the name of corporate amil. And we have offices, that we have counters, then we have all sort of like new and modern approach of collecting zakat at that time. And thirdly, it should be computerized. Before the establishment of Zakat Collection Center, normally zakat is being paid not in the computerization system, it's only on the manual basis. You have to write the receipt on manual basis. And thirdly, the establishment of service counters, we managed to renew and to give a better, a better environment of collecting zakat in a very new office compared to the old one. In terms of work culture, we have customer-oriented services that we have put and inculcate in our offices that zakat payers is number 1. Zakat payer is the king. And this is how we treat the zakat payers, where we have customer-oriented services just now. Then we do professionalism in our working environment, and we have the management and training given to all our staff to increase the level of services, and we have teamwork. As you know, teamwork is very necessary, and we also consider employees as organizational assets. In terms of economy, we do in Malaysia have a very fortunate, good government that we have the increase of our GDP over the last 10 years of about 5 to 6%. That is very good in terms of collecting zakat. And also we have the socio-cultural, where we have a group of what we call a Malay professional emerging since 1970s. In 1970s, there was a university by the name of National University established after the riot in 1969, where we have all these Malays or the Bumiputra attending what we call professional courses, and now they are the ones who are paying zakat because they are in their 50s right now. So they are the ones who are paying zakat, and this is very fortunate for Malaysia because we have this what we call people from the Malay professional sector who are paying their zakat. And also the law factor. In Malaysia, under the income tax what you call law in 1967, where we have this Article 6A bracket 3, which allows a person who pays their zakat to get rebate from their personal income tax. This is a very good factor for collecting zakat, because these people, they don't have to pay their zakat and also their income tax at the same time. So they can rebate. For example, if their income tax is 1,000 ringgit, if they pay zakat 200 ringgit, they only pay the rest, 800 ringgit to the income tax. So this is a very good incentive given by the government to all the Muslim in Malaysia. Right. Apart from the factors I mentioned just now, there are also the part of da'wah, or doing da'wah in terms of promoting zakat to the Muslim community. Some of the direct marketing that we use are like zakat talks and briefing. We have zakat estimation and assessment services. We have zakat operation and campaign. We also do mosque operation and also follow up to the payers. And at the end of the year, we give summarized report on the collection and also the distribution part. And also we give reminders for every year, because zakat is only paid once a year. So we give reminders to remind these people to pay up their zakat. And we also give them greeting cards during the festival month, on the Mubarak. And also we give individual group consultant and also group collection. Then we can go to the office. They don't have to come to our counters. We can go to their office to collect zakat. And also the most popular way of paying zakat is through the salary deduction campaign. So they only have to pay, have to fill up the form, and the rest will be conducted or can be settled by their employees to pay up their zakat through monthly deduction. And also lastly, on appointments. On the indirect, on the indirect marketing, or how do we approach in doing promotion to zakat payers, we do appear on TVs and also on radios and also on khutbah or sermon, Friday sermon, and we do give presentation or even a group assessment collection and flyers and also poster distribution, exhibition. We do zakat seminars and also attended info days and also briefing and also talks to all these potential payers. On the distribution part, as you can see in Federal Territory Religious Council, we have distributed since 2006 a mere sum of RM 2.61 billion, or equivalent to US 652.2 million. So what are some of the zakat fund, where does it goes? Basically, we have a Baitul Mal Vocational Institute, or we call it as IKB, where last year we spent about 2.5 million, and this is to establish a platform to reduce poverty among Muslim family by providing skills and vocational training to the family members. And some of the courses being offered is tailoring and dressmaking. We have art and design. We have food catering, electrical, and also building and construction. These are some of the courses being offered at Baitul Mal Vocational Institute. last year alone, in 2015, the number of trainees that we have produced since 1992 is about 3,507 trainees. The other, what you call, the Zakat Fund that we produce is Baitumal Professional Institute or IPB. It was established in 1992 and it offers a diploma courses in management, banking and accounting, ICCCA and ICMA. And since 1992 to 2015, we have graduated 8,705 from the families of poor and also the destitute. And 95% of these graduates were hired after graduation. And some of the courses offered are by diploma in accountancy, diploma in computer science, certificate accounting technician, bachelor of administration, and also bachelor of accountancy. Apart from that, we also have Islamic kindergarten, where Islamic kindergarten offers preschool education to children of about 5 to 6 years as preparation for primary education. And in 2015, we have managed 82 kindergarten with 6,750 students. And the zakat allocation for last year was in 2015 was 3.65. And other than that, we also have Islamic Mawib, or Federal Territory Religious Council Islamic Secondary School. And it was established in 2007 to provide Islamic secondary education in Federal Territory. And last year we allocated for about 8.33 million for this school. And another school that we incorporate was Science Tahfiz Integrated Secondary School, which is established in 2011 as a platform to train young generation to become Al-Quran memorizer or Hafiz, and will widely spread in various job market in the future. And Science Tahfiz Integrated Secondary School offers educational system combined with 2 education curriculum, which is the national curriculum and memorize Al-Quran. And the allocation that we put for this school in last year, 2015, was 2.5 million. And another building, another zakat contribution to establishing education was primary Pushrawi International College of Medical Sciences, which was established in 2003. And some of the courses offered are the diploma in nursing science, diploma in pharmacy, diploma in medical science, diploma in environment health, diploma in medical assistant, diploma in physiotherapy, diploma in occupational health and safety, diploma in occupational therapy, and also diploma in medical laboratory and technology. As for the short-term zakat distribution in Federal Territory, it involves in the empowerment of ASNAF, where we have 4 main activities of distribution in short term, which is the zakat distribution directly to the ASNAF. We have the education, we have shelter and welfare programs, and also development and properties. These are some of the aids given or programs given to the ASNAF, which is the aid recipient, where we have 27 programs altogether. Basically, we have the monthly financial aid, bursary, education aid, and the rest. And zakat to the ASNAF is mainly given . given to the 8 asnaf according to the Al-Quran, which is the poor, the destitute, the amil, the converts, the al-rikab, or the slave, al-gharimin, fi sabilillah ibn sabil. So, since we have limited time, I'll just go to the last portion of my presentation, will be factors in establishing an effective and efficient zakat institution, which is the topic of this paper. Basically, after 26 years in these industries, we managed to see that there are external and also the internal part of establishing zakat, effective zakat. Basically, the first one is the need to upgrade efficiency. Basically, what we have in Malaysia, there is always a complaint about the efficiency of distributing the zakat fund. There is no complaint on the collection part, but normally we have complaints on how efficient should be an organization in giving out the zakat distribution money. So there must be a revamp, and there must be a new system where we can expedite the distribution of zakat money to the recipient. Secondly, the need to actively scout for prospective payers. So there is a need for zakat institution to look and to scout and to find payers, potential payers. You don't have to sit in the counters and expect people to come, but you must go out and do the marketing and also expect people by giving them services, which in terms of increasing the zakat fund. Thirdly, the need to enhance capital building for asnaf. Normally what we have in zakat administration, they give cash advance or cash aids to the recipient. That is not should be the way, because why? We have to look other avenues of giving program aids to the zakat recipient. Normally we give them training so that they can go and look for job and to sustain themselves. So this is supposed to be the way, not by giving aids all the time, but by giving skills and training so that they can survive in the world. The need, fourthly, the need to upgrade management of human resource development. There is also a requirement to find and to scout for people who are willing to work as amil. They have to be honest. They have to be have the right qualification to be an amil. Because to be an amil is not a very easy job, because you have to do all sort of job in order to provide people to pay their zakat. Next, the need to update to the best and latest ICT system. One of the success factor of zakat, pusat pengumpulan zakat, is whereby the first day of operation we have already been in terms of computerization. So nowadays people are more ICT savvy, they are more educated, literate, and they should be given the best the best service in terms of paying and also receiving their zakat. And the next one is the need to strengthen internal control. So good governance is very important in zakat administration. So by establishing, they should have like internal audit committee, and to get certification on quality such as MSISO 9001-2005, or even information, and we have information security, we have 2007-1, 27-1, 2015. There is a need for this from the zakat information to achieve in strengthening the internal control of such zakat institution. Lastly,
I think you,
externally.
sorry, Mr. Haji, I think we have
Yep.
overrun the time.
Okay.
Can you conclude?
Okay, sorry. Maybe you can follow in papers that I've already given to you. I apologize for taking such a long time, and for that I end my presentation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Mr. Haji Muhammad Rais Haji Alias. Please remain on stage for a quick photography session. Mr. Mohammed Al Fadel Ibrahim and Ms. Rajeswari Nadesan, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the time right now is 1:23 p.m. We will now break for lunch, which is served at the Phoenix Ballroom. The organizer would also